All right, so your price target on Lilly's 1146, 1,146, about a 45% upside from where the stock's trading at right now. But at the same time, you say policy is front and center. So when we're talking about Eli Lilly, how's policy going to impact the narrative on this stock?
Yeah, sure. I'd say, obviously, Frank, as we mentioned, our outlook policy is one of the key things right now in the biopharma sector. Some uncertainty here following the U.S. election. I'd say at the center of that, as we've seen historically, is drug pricing, questions on how that plays out. Obviously, no real policy yet to hang our hat on, but I'd say from an Eli Lilly perspective, really the key focus here is the launch of their new drug, Zepbound, for obesity and Mounjaro for type 2 diabetes. And we continue to see robust growth here on a volume opportunity. We think this can be a $100 billion market opportunity over the longer term. And we think Lilly's going to get a significant share of that market with their drug Zepbound. And as you mentioned at the top of the show here, they recently received FDA approval for a new indication for sleep apnea. And so that will also help expand the reimbursement coverage of this drug, particularly into the Medicare setting. So we think that is a positive development here over the near term.
All right, so you say that's a positive development. Again, Eli Lilly's your top pick. I want to talk to you about another trend you're seeing. Over the next 5 years or so, you say about $175 billion worth of revenue are going to basically fall off that patent cliff. Drugs and other things are going to fall off patent. What does that mean for the overall industry, and what companies are the most exposed to that and the least exposed to that?
Yeah, sure, Frank. Obviously, as you know, patents are at the center of a lot of the development and innovation in the sector. And so drug companies have patents around their drugs. Those patents expire typically after about 20 years. And so companies have to continually innovate to continue to drive new innovation and outer year revenue growth. And as you mentioned, there are about $175 billion in revenue that's rolling off by the end of the decade. And so how do companies navigate that period? Really through two areas. One is internal innovation. So pipelines and product cycles, those are the lifeblood of the sector. Again, as we talked about on Eli Lilly, their new drug Zepbound is one of those key pieces of innovation. Number two is external innovation. So these companies typically look through business development and M&A to bring in additional drugs to help drive further revenue growth and innovation. So those are really the two ways that we continue to see the industry and it being able to navigate that period. In terms of Lilly and why it's our top pick, they have very low patent risk exposure through the end of the decade. And that's another reason why it's one of our key overweight recommendations. Right. A company that's exposed where we have an underweight rating is Bristol Myers. They have a higher amount of revenue going off patent by the end of the decade.